hello everybody out there in internet land. This is Chris from MajorLegacy.com with another exciting episode of Topher's Log. A little bit of a different episode of Topher's Log today. We're gonna go. I used to do something called Around the Verse, where I just go down to the parks and document and stuff and put it on the YouTubes about what's going on. And today's the opening of Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, and I could not get there at the ass crack of dawn like other people this morning. I had to work last night. It is about 10:30, 10:40ish or so, and I'm headed down there now. The wait time earlier was at 10 hours. According to the app, the wait time has gone down to about 480 hours, or excuse me, 480 hours. That's a long ass fucking wait. 480 minutes, which is I believe over 8 hours, somewhere around there. So yeah, sorry about the glare, guys. I do wear glasses. I usually take them off for the regular Topher's Logs. But anyway, so I'm headed down there. I will probably not get in line. I was fully expecting... I was okay with waiting about 4 or 5 hours. I could have dealt with that. But 10 hours or 8 hours, that's a little bit too extreme. I didn't even do that for Gringotts when it opened on opening day. Gringotts on opening day was about 8 hours, a little bit over. I think it was like 450 minutes or something like that. So it was over 8 hours. But yeah. So we would not wait for that. And same thing here. I will not be waiting. 8 hours to get 10 hours to get on this ride. So I fully expect not to get on the ride today, and I'll be back tomorrow. So maybe tomorrow will be an even better experience. Maybe I'll get on the ride at that point. I highly doubt it, but we will see how it goes. But anyway, I'm headed down there now. We're gonna see what it's like when I first get there. Like I said, the wait time went from over 10 hours to a little bit over 8 hours. So we'll see. We'll see what happens when I get there. I know the ride is currently down because of weather, so people are waiting for the weather to pass. I apologize for the no microphone, because I am going to be shooting this a little bit old school style on my phone today, documenting all this stuff. Hopefully my phone don't die. Nevertheless, we move on, and we're going to head down. I will see you guys at the park. God, well, hello everybody out there. We have arrived at Universal Orlando. I have just parked. There was no line for parking, so everyone who probably was here earlier, everyone's all parked. The thing is that I did the prime parking, but the prime parking was one level up from what it usually is, so it's still prime, but it's actually one level up. But anyway, guys, we are here. Typical I-4 traffic. It is now 11:30. We're gonna go ahead and see what madness awaits us inside the park.
Awesome? You liked it? Thumbs up. Yep, now it does.
Okay, guys, we're walking across the new bridge. This is exciting. Exciting new things. Got the Jurassic World stuff out front for the new coaster. This is the new bridge. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but you can only get into Jurassic Park and to Hogsmeade by going over the new bridge and into Jurassic Park itself. The current start of the Hagrid's line is at the entrance to Poseidon's Fury. And out front, the management says that the current wait time is about 5 hours. Other people say that it's still 8, so it depends on who you talk to. But we are currently crossing the new bridge, so this is cool. You definitely feel that the bridge is a lot more sturdy than what it once was. That old temp bridge was getting a little crazy. You could feel it moving. This one, you can definitely feel it's a lot sturdier than the old temp permanent bridge. So here we are across the new bridge. So this is fun. Probably not as exciting as Hagrid's, but we are probably not going to get on Hagrid's today. That noise that you hear is the news helicopters. There are news helicopters everywhere. I saw the News 6 helicopter up there somewhere. So they're here. Gotta get on that media stuff, guys. Oh, here we are. So we have exited the new bridge. Here we are. And, aha. Into Jurassic Park, guys. Alright, well, we'll check back in a little bit. Alright, guys, so here's the deal. We are over in Hogsmeade, and it's actually not bad over in Hogsmeade. It's pretty much normal crowds over in the actual land itself. The ride has just had its first, I think, real big snafu. I was told that there actually has been an e-stop here, so I would assume that the ride will be down for an extended period of time. So there you go on that. The wait time when I last checked was about a little over 5 hours. There is a single rider standby entrance, which I am tempted to get in line for the single rider's entrance, but I don't know how that works. The sign is there. We'll go over and look at the sign. There it is.
Oh, it's the same?
Yeah, you won't split until you're down by the tunnel.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. If you just heard that guy, somebody asked about the single riders line, you still have to wait in the regular line to do the single riders line. So, whoa, that's way too close. So yeah, so if you heard in the last piece of video there, you still have to wait. If you want to do the single riders, you still have to wait in the regular line to do the single riders. And then you get split up when you get up to the front. So you still have to wait 5 hours just to do the single riders line. So it is there. It's kind of ridiculous that they would even have that as an option out front. It's almost a little bit tricky to tell people that you do have a single riders line. You know, it's not really single riders. So there's that. The crowds actually in Hogwarts, or excuse me, in Hogsmeade, they're actually not that bad. It's everything else. It is complete chaos here. There's helicopters flying overhead. It's really kind of ridiculous all around here today. But Hogsmeade, it's actually not that bad. There's actually not a whole lot of people in Hogsmeade itself. So, on this way, you hear the helicopters. There's Sky 6 is up there. I see a Sky 6. So there's that. But yeah, so anyway, guys, see you back in a little bit. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to get in line, especially because the ride is down. So we'll see. But it is what it is.
Over there now?
Well, here we go, guys. It is starting to rain, so I'm gonna go seek shelter right away because it is about to really fucking pour. So right now, wait time is still about 5 hours. We'll see how the rest of the day goes. I don't think the wait time is going to go down that much after the rain, but this looks like it's going to be the big storm, so it's going to rain for quite some time. So maybe that'll, some people will run away. We'll see. But anyway, guys, yeah, I'll talk to you later.
And my father's a Rolling Stone. I'm not quite sure where he is. I would scorch you with water, but I'm not using my water today. Well, it wouldn't be fair to you guys. You're kind of trapped. You can't get away from me. That wouldn't be very nice.
There's 11 people in on this countdown now.
All right, guys. So here we are. It is the end of the day. We got in line. I'm here with my dad, so I'll turn you guys around. There's my dad. Very loud plane. So we did get in line. What time did we get in line? We got in line about
4:20.
About 4:20 or so, right? 4:20.
4:20.
We waited about 3.5 hours. We were outside. We were right by the where they were going to start having people go in to get put stuff in lockers, and the ride basically stopped. We stood there for about how long? Maybe about 45 minutes to an hour, and then they just came by and told everyone to leave. Here's the thing. It's like I'm not upset that because I was expecting stuff to happen and whatnot. But here's the thing. I was a little bit more upset that they didn't give us any kind of express pass or fast pass or to do anything else. It didn't have to be for this ride, but some kind of, express or whatever for anything else on property. They didn't do that. They gave us a card and said that we can go up to guest services and basically, ask about compensation, right? Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes.
Am I correct? So we waited in line. They told us to get offline, and they gave us a card and said go up to guest services and ask for compensation, right? Okay. Just so you guys know that I'm not. It's not me complaining. That's what they did. It is what it is. I will be back tomorrow, which would be Friday. This video will go up on Sunday, but I'll be back on Friday, so don't get it on Friday. It is what it is. But so that's been opening day for for Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. We gave it a shot. We got in line, and that's what happened. So until next time. Bye. Bye, Dan.
Time to go eat.
Yeah, time to go eat. All right. Oh boy. Yeah, that's the guest services line. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. If you want to, here's the guest services line for today. Not super bad. Dad, don't go all the way up there. Dad, hold on. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but there obviously are people there for today. And, they kicked us offline. I don't know if I really want to wait for anything because, I'll be back. I mean, it's not my vacation, so. But it is what it is. But anyway, look at this, the sky though. Look at the sky. It's a very pretty sky. There's the lighthouse. So there you go, guys. That was that was opening day of Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. So obviously, the ride was in high demand. It's a brand new ride. There's a lot of, it's not just a straightforward roller coaster. There's a lot of technical elements involved, and the ride broke down a lot. 10-hour waits, the weather, all that stuff. We did give it a shot that on opening day, so I can't complain there. Like I said, the only thing that I really was upset about was the fact that they kind of made us fend for ourselves up by the poor guest services people to sort of have any kind of compensation at all. I really thought at one point it looked like, we saw, my dad and I were getting ready to get out of line, and because we weren't moving, and I had made a point. I said if we weren't moving for a long period of time, if we were stuck in one point, we were going to get off. But we did see people, a couple of the bigwigs, go up and down the line. They started counting heads, and at that point I knew that something was up. They were going to kick us off and probably give us the express passes for another attraction. That did not happen. But anyway, we still waited. They gave us the card, whatever, blah blah blah. However, so I did go back on Friday, and spoiler alert, we did actually get to ride. I wasn't going to get in line. But towards the end of the day, we decided that, hey, what the hell, we'll give it a shot. We actually entered the queue, the same place we entered the queue the day before. Now, we waited, before we got kicked offline the day before, we waited about 4 hours. So I was fully expecting to wait 4 hours at that point, but when we got, or at least 4 hours just to get to the lockers, I should say. But when we got into the queue line, that part of the queue line, there was nobody in line. So the people that were there actually directed us to go up to where the locker point was. So we walked over to the locker point, and then those people told us that we had to go back the other way. So we went back the other way, and we talked to a couple of people that were stationed in front of the fountain, which was where the locker gap was the day before. And they told us that we had to go back around and literally get in line, even though we were the only people there. So we turned around and we went to get back in line. And as we were walking back up to the front, we actually heard over the radio that the ride was at capacity. And I was a little upset because the same lady that we had just talked to that told us to get right back around and go in line was like, the ride's at capacity, sorry you guys missed out. And I was about ready to explode at that point because I was like, well, you just told us to do all this other nonsense, and then this happens. I'm like, that's not fair. But they were nice, and you know, they let us through, and we were literally the last people in line before they shut it down, before they put up the ride was at capacity. You know, it is what it is. Even though later on, spoiler alert, they actually started letting people ride later on. By the time we actually got to the loading platform later on, we saw that a bunch of people had come in behind us. They started flowing in behind us. And then when we got out, we did see that, you know, they were letting people in line, even though they were not publicly advertising that the ride was open. It was still basically at capacity. If you saw the app or, you know, the wait times or whatever, like it still said at capacity, but they were letting people in. The wait time was about 2 hours at that point. But anyway, so we got in line. We got in line, and it was really nice to actually see the real queue. To actually get in line and see the real queue. This thing looks amazing. It looks crazy. You know, a lot of us are actually a lot used to the dragons, the Dragon Challenge Dueling Dragons look that's over there, or that was over there. But when you first look at this thing, when you get into under the arch there, it's incredible. It looks incredible. It looks unique, like you know, you've never seen anything like this before. You know, all sorts of sounds going on in the queue. You hear a horse, wolf howls, all sorts of crazy stuff going on. You do eventually pass Hagrid's hut, the behind Hagrid's hut. That's at the Hippogriff. And then when you actually get into the building itself, you get into that point where when it was Dragon Challenge, you go around that little circle area, and the Triwizarding Cup that was perched there, you go around that, and then where the tent was, the Triwizarding Champions tent, is basically where the pre-show is, and the pre-show is similar to you know, what they did at Gringotts with the Musion stuff. Only this time they add some. There'll be some spoilers here, guys, so be warned if you don't want to know. But they add some like effects, like water effects and stuff, you know, smells and whatnot, wind effects, to sort of add to the pre-show. The queue itself, I think, is the most disappointing aspect of the ride for me. It didn't have the typical Potter queue immersion that I think we're all used to at this point between Forbidden Journey and Gringotts. This one was a little bit more plain. A lot of this queue is just caves. There's a lot of just caves in here. There's like a hatchery or greenhouse area that's new that when you exit the pre-show, you dump into, but then you go right into the caves. There's like a garage area, or like an area where I guess Hagrid is tinkering with things, and it's a weird little area that you see a little bit later on. But the real big part of this queue is the room right before loading. You have the thing on the ceiling. There's like this effect on the ceiling where both Hagrid's bike, you know, will do like it'll ride around, and the fire from the back of the bike will catch the ceiling on fire. There's little creatures running around up there. It's actually quite a neat queue. It reminds me a lot of how the queue for Kong is set up, where it's a lot of just caves and stuff like that, and then you get to the witch point, and like that's like the big, it's like, oh my god, what is this? That's kind of how it felt to me. except, you know, in this case, when you get up to that point, it's literally the room right before loading. You don't have to go through more caves, and then you see the scare actor that's there in Kong. There's nothing like that here, but the actual preloading room is quite nice. You know, with that, especially with the stuff on the top. You know, it's a room where if you're stuck into, there's a lot to look at up above you. So loading, the cars you've obviously heard a lot about these cars. It is a motorcycle that's got a sidecar. You know, I got to ride in the actual motorcycle part of the car, which was quite cool. You know, I'm not a very heavy man, but I do have a larger waist size, I think, than most people. You know, so I did try out both seats. I fit fine in the motorcycle car. The sidecar is a little tight. You know, I fit fine. It reminded me a lot of sitting in the mine train cars down at Disney, where those mine train cars are really tight. That's kind of what it reminded me of right away. But the ride itself, this thing is incredible. I was at a loss of words when I got off the ride. The first things I said to my friend with me, he actually had already ridden it, but the first thing I said was, the first words out of my mouth were, "This is the best ride on property." This is, I don't know how I feel after one ride, you know, and after you come down from that high. I'm not exactly sure where it ranks yet on my list, but this thing has a lot of surprises. It's faster than I was anticipating. That first initial burst of energy when the motorcycle first revs up and goes was shocking, because I was not expecting it to go that fast. There are a lot of elements on here that will surprise you. I think a lot of people were expecting something that was a little bit more tame than what it is. But this is a project that I have been privy to, that I heard a lot about way back in its initial conception. And it was really, really nice to actually get to experience what I have been, you know, what had been thrown at me for the last 3 or 4 years. You know, I was very, 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 very happy with what they did here. This is something very unique. There's nothing quite like it on Universal property. Well, there isn't anything like it on Universal property. I don't know. I haven't ridden anything that has some of these elements that are in here. I know there's some debate, like especially with the drop element. I know that's on other roller coasters, and you know there's the whole switchback thing where you do get to ride backwards and forwards and stuff of that nature. But for Universal Orlando, this is probably the most unique attraction on property. There's nothing like it on property. You know, it is not your typical roller coaster. The story elements are quite nice. This thing doesn't really stop. It keeps moving. It does slow down for the show elements, but you're never really at a stand. You know, the car is never really stopped. You're always constantly in motion. And God, some of I'm telling you, this thing, when it goes, this thing goes. And it was very, very, very shocking for me to experience that. I was not expecting the acceleration this thing has, and the speed that this thing has, especially that last element where Hagrid will after you escape the Devil's Snare past the drop track, Hagrid will tell you to hit the button, and the blast what is it? Blast ended scroots. The fire makes the car the fire of the creature makes the car go really fast, and fast it does. You know, like I said, the speed on this thing is really took me by surprise. I mean, it's not like you know, typical speed roller coaster fast, but for a roller coaster that was billed as a family roller coaster or a family style roller coaster, it actually is quite fast. I don't think Grandma will be. This is not a coaster for Grandma, and I'm not sure if this is a coaster for really young kids. Although You know, I mean, there is a height requirement, which is there was 48 inches, I believe, same requirement as is it Gringotts? It has the same height requirement, but yeah, so it is what it is. The only, like I said, the real disappointment for me was the queue. But I think that we're all kind of ingrained at this point with all the Harry Potter queues, you know, between Gringotts and Forbidden Journey. You know, the immersion of the queues that Universal has done. You know, I think we're used to that at this point. This feels like they basically just redid the Dragon's Queue. There's a lot of similar elements, especially with the caves, you know, stuff like that. That's my only real gripe with this. But the ride itself, this thing is incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. It kind of blew me away what Universal did here. They have a massive hit on their hands with this. A very massive hit. And even though, like, when I first got off the ride, my first words were, "This is the best ride on property." I had to step back a little bit because Islands of Adventure is my favorite park in Orlando, and it has a few of my favorite all-time rides ever, and that is Spider-Man and Forbidden Journey. I still think Spider-Man, or for me at the time, Spider-Man was the best ride on property. Still was the best ride on property. Followed closely by Forbidden Journey, The Mummy, and Gringotts, or Gringotts. But this is so hard for me to put at number one because of my nostalgic sort of love of Spider-Man, the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. But it's, as of right now, I'm going to say it's top 3, probably top 2 attractions at Universal Orlando. It probably is number 1, but you know, my heart still belongs to Spider-Man, just because, like I said, that nostalgia tug, and I still love Forbidden Journey, but I think Forbidden Journey is kind of shown its age a little bit over the last couple years. I know they recently redid the screens and you know, with the 4K and whatnot, but I think it's starting to show its age. And I love Gringotts. I know Gringotts has a or Gringotts. It's force of habit. I still call it Gringotts, but I know it's Gringotts. I know that ride's got its haters a little bit, but I think that's because you know, some of the blogging sites and whatever out there over the course of the ride's inception, I think sold people a different attraction than what it actually was. But I still like Gringotts quite a bit, and I love the Mummy. You know, the Mummy was I think my favorite coaster on property, but that is not the case anymore. I still love Hulk as well, but I love the Mummy's infusion of dark ride and storytelling. Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure basically blows that out of the water. It does it so well, and I'm really excited that I got to finally ride it. We only waited 3.5 hours, and like I said, they did reopen the queue, although they didn't advertise it because they didn't want people bum rushing the queue at that point, because we got off it was about, I guess, 7 o'clock at that point, maybe a little bit after 7. So they didn't want people bum rushing the queue, so they still made it listed at capacity. But we could have gone right back, and we could have gone right back in line and did single riders if we wanted to, walked right on. But we were hungry. I mean, wanted to go home, and it was time for a beer. You know, after the 2 days of chaos there. But nevertheless, let's wrap this up here. There's nothing else left to say, really. It's the Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure is fantastic, and hopefully the lines will start to minimize a little bit, and the problems the ride's been having lessen and lessen. That was the one thing, is that when we were online, we were moving. We didn't have any breakdowns. It seemed like, I know in the morning the ride did not open with the park because they were open late the night before, and they had to, you know, do their stuff before they were able to open the ride again for the next day. But it seemed to me when we were in line that things were running a lot more efficiently than perhaps the day before, even though they did open late on Friday. And we didn't really stop. We kept moving. We really kept moving through that queue. So it only took us, like I said, about 3.5 hours. So there's that. But yeah, so just a fantastic ride, guys. I mean, I really hope that, you know, people will get to experience it a lot more here, you know, as we move on. But anyway, guys, that is it for this week's Topher's Log. It's a little special Topher's Log. Keep your eyes out this week for you never know what could happen in terms of Halloween Horror Nights. So keep your eyes out, your eyes and ears open, and I will talk to you soon.